you step inside this doorway and tell me, love, how does the dreamer inside you show her face? They say my words are empty and out of touch, but I know you know the language of this. 'Cause I remember you. Do you remember too?
Coach Stefan Rudolph coming to you from beautiful Escondido, California, out here at Kit Carson Park, connecting with beautiful Lake Hodges today and having a wonderful experience this past weekend. Just yesterday, actually, connected with Tiffany here. I have a special guest on our show here, Tiffany Costello, and I wanted to introduce her as we have both gone through epilepsy. She just had brain surgery last year and has a wonderful story. So Tiffany, how you doing?
No, I can't complain. Since day one, I've been doing great and better as every day comes. And a little bit about my story growing up. Ever since I was 1 year old, I found out that I had epilepsy. So I've been on medicine pretty much my whole life, and got diagnosed with having seizures and epilepsy my whole life, and fought through it. And now in 2022, I just had brain surgery May of last year, and have fought off and have not had one seizure since the surgery. So I'm super grateful for that.
That's wonderful. It's that attitude of gratitude and being thankful for even the dis-ease in life, as we call it. For 20 years, I dealt with that, and I see that you dealt with it too. I mean, your whole life until this brain surgery. Do you know offhand, what was the brain surgery called? What type of work did they do?
I don't know off the top of my head. It was like a very small, like on my left temple.
Okay.
I can ask my parents and get the exact name, because I didn't get all that information.
Oh, that's okay. You survived it and you grew through it, so that's wonderful. Yeah, I had the left temporal lobe awake craniotomy, but that was 15 years ago. So technology, of course, has come a long ways where they don't have to cut open your whole head. And I know it's difficult at times, but this is something that people have to go through and grow through in life. So people go through it and grow through it in life. And I love your story. I connected with you because I subscribed to an epilepsy group on email through Google. And every so often, for the past year, I've been getting emails about people about epilepsy. It's called Epilepsy Coaching on there. And your story came up. So tell us a little bit about your article and what you did and how you got published there.
So which article, the Runner's World?
Yeah, I think it was the Runner's World, the most recent one.
Yeah, so actually Taylor Dutch, who wrote the article, she actually emailed me and asked to get in contact with me. We spoke over the phone, and I told her a little bit about my journey and what got me into running, even sticking to training and running marathons, even while having seizures, because that's a big deal. I've even been out there running a 10K on a track in high school and had a seizure. And so she really asked and was curious how I kept the mentalness and the toughness in training and going out there running half marathons, full marathons, when I can get a seizure out of nowhere, unaware, when I'm out there running. And to me, it definitely, growing up, it was definitely hard. I was definitely scared, worried, but knowing me, nothing ever stops me. And it's a lot of mental toughness. And I knew eventually if I had one, it's just something I had since I was 1 year old. So I didn't really have the chance it's unpreventable to prevent a seizure from coming, because you never know when they're going to come.
Yeah.
Luckily, I knew I would get them more when I'm tired, lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, or something's off my normal schedule. So growing up, ever since I was really in high school, I've really stuck to the same routine in terms of eating right, working out every day, sleeping right, spending quality time. And the other thing that was hard for me, which I'm very fortunate, is I have great parents and siblings that support me. And I always growing up would be with one of them, because if I went out at night and I had one, nobody really knew how bad my seizures were besides my actual family.
Yeah, that's a huge part. It's hard in public, right? I mean, people that see you, I always woke up to this zombie look, like people were freaked out, like they saw a ghost, right? And they're like, oh my God, and, you know, she had a seizure, he had a seizure. And it freaks people out. So that's good that you had somebody with you all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, and like for me, it actually happened more in the evening, like talking, tired, they would know what causes them to get, like, for me to get them. So they would just keep a stronger look on me and make sure I'm good, which I'm very, very, very thankful for that they were always there for me. And then sometimes it was just hard for me always growing up. Like, I'll never forget after the surgery, if my doctor asked me, do you think you would have been a different person growing up if you didn't have epilepsy? And I said, there's no doubt, for sure. I probably would have gone out with more friends, done more activities outside, but I was always like hold back and accountable because I didn't want someone else to be reliable for me that didn't know me as well as like my family does.
Yeah, so they know you best, and everything happens for a reason too. So, you know, for the 24 years until your surgery that you dealt with it, it just became normal. Some people have handicaps growing up, and other people look at them like, God, that would be horrible, but they don't know any difference, whether they have, you know, less fingers or maybe one arm or something, a deformity. That's their life. That's who they are, and that's how you've been. Mine happened when I was 17, so I dealt with it from a football injury, but I know what you mean. I had to live with it for 20 years. And I think in a positive perspective, sometimes I was going to ask you about drinking or partying, or did anything come into, like in my story, I've been sober 10 years because I had alcoholism. Did you ever have any issues with drinking or partying in college, or that caused seizures, anything like that?
No,
Or a good
honestly,
girl?
college was, I mean, for me it was a fun experience, but at the same time, college was not my deal. I mean, I've never been into partying and drinking like my whole life. I've just, like, going out for me and celebrating after a race is like going out for dinner, like going in the next morning and taking a hike or something. I've always been to like the health, and to me, I look at like drinking like there's no benefits of drinking,
Yeah.
whether you're training for a marathon or just going having fun in life. And because drinking also cause like alcohol also had a higher chance of having seizures, I never was into it, and I never actually have drank in my life growing up with epilepsy, just because it was something that was going to have a higher cause of getting higher percentage of seizures.
Yeah. And what did you major in college?
Business, and I didn't really, it was up in the air questioning. I thought honestly eventually I'd be in the like a physical therapy, but school and college for me was tough, and I didn't want to take online school, so I didn't want to go back to school. So nowadays, what I want to do in my future, I want to either be a running coach in the running industry, or my whole life is determined on training, the health of helping others, their goals, as well as my family, and taking care of other people, as well as taking care of myself.
That's wonderful. And that's where I think we connected, whether everything happens for a reason, you know, helping other people with my program of epilepsy coaching. And when I saw your story, it's amazing because I love to hear the athletes that come back, and people I've talked to, one epileptic that raced bikes all the time, bicycle racing, very competitive. He had a seizure, you know, cracked his head even with his helmet, but he never gave up, and he's still pushing forward to this day. So it's wonderful to hear stories like this. And it's very inspiring, Tiffany, to hear your story of running. And I was going to connect that to when did running come in your life, and was there a reason? Was it a passion right away, or what happened?
Basically, I've been running, gosh, I mean, ever since I was at least 10 or 12. I started off running at the gym to stay in shape for soccer. I did club soccer, high school soccer, ASO soccer. And then the reason that kind of narrowed me down is I was doing track and cross country, and I couldn't do all three plus track and cross. So the coach talked me out of soccer and said, hey, let's train for cross country and do track and get speed work in. And then at that point, I really found out that I was a distance runner because I enjoyed cross country more than track. And then I kind of told myself I've had so many sprained ankles and injuries from soccer, and it was all soccer related, but no injuries from running. And I also looked at it for long term. Running, I could do my whole life. Soccer, you can't really do because you need a soccer ball, you need a field. Running, all you need is shoes, workout clothes. You could travel the world and pack your shoes in your suitcase and go run 30, 45 minutes. And running, it's free. You don't necessarily need a gym membership. Go run the trails, go run the roads. You don't need a field. So running
Love
is
that.
just so much easier.
Yeah, I never thought about that analogy. That's perfect, because racquetball, for example, I need a partner, need a club. There's a time, they're not open. So there's certain sports, you just grab your shoes. You're going to inspire me to get back into running too. So that's wonderful that you're doing that, and you're very inspirational. That's why I asked about your story, and people that have epilepsy, as I had in the past. It's past tense, but I understand it, what it's like to live with it and the fear. And Les Brown is a wonderful author. He said false evidence appearing real. That's what that stands for, the acronyms. The acronyms of fear, false evidence appearing real. So in our mind, I don't want to go out, I don't want to run, I don't want to have a seizure, I'm going to crack my head open, fear, 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 right? But you do it anyways. You push forward and you do it anyways. So you're very inspiring to other people, many others. What have others told you, or what's the feedback that you get from people?
A lot of people say the same thing for the way I grew up. They say that I'm very inspiring others with, like, them obviously not having epilepsy and I do. But what I tell everyone is, at the end of the day, as long as you choose things that are making you more of a successful, stronger person for the next day, whether it's to run a marathon, run a half marathon, there's always goals and always next levels to hit. But what I do every day is I just take one baby step at a time. And then before you know it, over time, you do the same thing again and again. You'll get compliments and achievements and goals that you're working towards. And soon, in reality, you'll achieve those goals if you just take baby steps day by day.
I love that. One day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, that type of thing. And that's what they say in AA and in my sobriety, is just one day at a time. So the same thing for epilepsy and fears. We have the connectivity too with your health, wellness, what you eat, what you drink, how much you sleep. Those are all huge categories. Staying on your medication the same time every day. But I started having side effects when I was drinking too much soda, of course, alcohol. But even when I sobered up, it was soda, it was high fructose corn syrup, red dye 40, chemicals, fast food, right? All these things were interacting and I wasn't feeling good. So paying attention to your body, right?
Yeah, I'd say paying attention to your body and following a routine, like 9% of the time, is pretty key, like especially for me, to be successful. And I find for anybody, whether you have fitness goals or business goals, whatever you have in mind that you want to achieve, you have to have a standard of when, like, I have short-term, long-term goals and then lifetime goals, and I have it all written out. So I just take one day, baby step at a time, and make sure that every day what I'm doing is something towards reaching my short and long-term goal.
Yes, you're a very old soul for 25 years old. I wish I had that when I was 25. I wasn't writing down anything. Everything just happened. And I realized I had a very good life until 32, until my seizures came back. But what you're doing right now at your young age, and always have done, it sounds like, is very inspirational for people in their 20s, in their 30s, but any age, because we have to write things down. We have to visualize it. If things come in our life, that law of attraction, or it could be prayer, God, whatever you want to look at, it's happening for a reason. And if you're not planning yourself, you're not going to be the self that you want to be. You're going to end up in a hardship, or something's going to go wrong. You're like, why did this happen to me? Because, well, it wasn't planned, right?
Exactly.
Now, planning's hard, of course, and not everything turns out, but you have a great view on life at your young age. And tell us about your event coming up here for the Boston Marathon. What's your goal and what's going to happen?
So I'm ready. Boston has been one of my marathons. Have been on my list since even starting running, even before high school and college. So I'm excited. It's official. I'm heading out there tomorrow and racing on Monday. And then my goal is to run around 3 hours, depending on the weather. It could be raining, it could be windy, it could be cold, hot. My goal is around 3 hours, and obviously to cross the finish line with a smile on my face.
Yeah, just like life, you just getting these goals done one goal at a time, crossing with a smile on your face every time. And how many miles is it? And what is the, have you done these before that long?
So I've actually only done 2 full marathons. I've done the California International Marathon, which is in Sacramento. I did that in 2018 in December, which qualified me for the Olympic trials in Atlanta in 2020. And that I ran in 2:53, but my first marathon qualified me for the trials, which was CIM, and I ran a 2:45 flat. So my first marathon has been my fastest so far. And then now I'm going into my 3rd marathon running Boston. And like I mentioned, I want to run about 3 hours.
Okay. And that's, you're saying to qualify. So for qualifying for the next marathon or Olympic qualification even, or what qualifications?
After Boston, I want to run CIM again and try and hit the Olympic trials again. Honestly, for the next 2 years and then 4 years after that, because 2028, I believe, will be in LA. So I would love to achieve that goal as well. But I also have other marathons like London, Berlin, Chicago, New York on my to-do list that I want to do.
See, that's great. You have your bucket list and you have Boston here, check it off, you know, all the way down. And what I'm hearing, and to let the others know, the listeners here, is that your connectivity with what your goals are. Do you ever notice you didn't entail, hopefully I don't have a seizure. People will talk about that. Hopefully I don't do this. Hopefully I don't do that. And they bring up the negative, like if I don't have a seizure, I'll be able to finish, right? You're not talking like that, and that's wonderful. That's how we program our mind. I call it Control Alt Delete. Reset your mind, reset your life. So you have to. So you have to be able to do that with a positive view, and you're wonderful at that. So I want to commend you.
I agree. I agree for sure on that, because everything is 99% mental. So the more you don't think on the negative sides, like for me, just stay positive. The more you don't think anything negative, whether it's life, fitness, work, anything, it's just going to bring you down more. But if you have a positive mindset, positive attitude, you're looking at the benefits you're going to get, what you're thankful for in life, what your goals you want to achieve, and you look at it the positive side, it's much more doable than looking at the negative side.
Yeah, making the positive more doable. It becomes easier. And when things go wrong, just accept it and learn from it and grow from it. And it's not really wrong. The wrongest things in my life, the worst things in my life, became the best things in my life. So in your perspective, you have brain surgery and everybody's probably concerned and worried, but then you're getting better and you haven't had any seizures, right? You've been epilepsy free. You're just on the normal medication. Everything's pretty standard, right? Pretty good.
Yep, I'm 11 months of seizure-free, so I'm super blessed. And even pre 1 year post-surgery, it hasn't even been a year yet, and I'm still out there going to run Boston Marathon 11 months after brain surgery.
Yeah. What was your brain surgery date?
It was May 18th.
Okay. Well, we got another thing in common. Mine was May 9th, so we're close. 2007 though. 597.
Just behind you.
Yeah. And it was a year later that in life, you know, if I had stayed focused like you and worked out and stayed sober, I would have been a whole different person sooner. I became a different person later, but I chose drinking again. I got another DUI, messed up my life, that things fell apart. You have to live and learn, but I don't want people to wait till they're 50 to do this. So that's why I'm doing this program, like interviewing you and then coming across the younger crowd, 20s and 30s, or any age really. But you know, I waited until I was, 41 to sober up. So if I had done that and stayed with it when I was 31, 32 in your age category, at that point, I would have had a whole different life. But we don't look down on it, right? Everything happens for that reason. So it led me here to helping others. And that's why I come across you, Tiffany, as a very inspirational person, and seeing what your story is amazing. So I know you're gonna go get it and achieve your goals.
Yep, that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, one day at a time, one goal at a time. So tell people how to get a hold of you. And also we're gonna set up that Venmo, because Tiffany can use some help in this too. So tell a little bit about that to connect with you and support you as well.
Yeah, so my social media is on Instagram. It's Tiff's Born to Run. And then my Facebook is just Tiffany Costello. But I do more, I'd recommend doing more Instagram rather than Facebook, just an easier way to connect.
Okay. And I'll have the link on this video below in the YouTube channel here. People can click on those links for you, and then also especially the Venmo one, they'll have your information on there. And we have a inspirational video before this that we just did, and then this one will be posted, and then we'll get you when you come back in 2 weeks with your medals or whatever they give you. What do you get at the end of your race?
We will get a medal, and knowing me, I'm gonna have a bunch of new Boston gear coming home, traveling home, and then in 2 weeks, I'll have such a big story that I may even write a story about this journey.
Yeah, write a book, and actually that's a goal of mine that you can be in too. The book is called Control Alt Delete. Reset your mind, reset your life. Stories like you, each chapter have about 12 different authors. I already have somebody that overcame cancer, the epilepsy part, we're connected, alcohol, but just dis-ease in life. And I want to have stories like that so you can be part of the Control Alt Delete. Reset your mind, reset your life.
Hey, that's awesome.
So that's part of your story too. So you're always journaling, I'm sure, but put those journals together as a book, come up with your own book, your own name, the things that you're most appreciative of, and the hard times and good times. So for everybody out there, this is Tiffany. Connect with her if you have questions, and we will go from there.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.